Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of Clockwork Planet episode 8. Now this one, probably posting it on Thursday, because I don't think I'll have the high Q&A done, so that'll hopefully be up Friday night, maybe not even until Saturday, depending on how late it is. It's one of those situations, I'm pretty sure, many of you have been there, where it's like, I have more things to do than time in which to do them, and, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I don't know what is going to be when or how far back anything's going to be pushed back, but this is today, here and now. I'd usually say it's baguette time again, but there wasn't really a lot of baguette this episode compared to usual. Not that it was a bad episode, I actually thought that it was good for Clockwork Planet. It's hard to review a show when it's like, I don't think the show was bad, but it's not really winning anybody's Anime of the Year awards. It's just a little above average, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you are just a little bit above average, and nothing wrong with that. But either way, let's talk about it. So apparently, we're seeing this crazy old man villain at the beginning, and we get to a bit more on him later, but from there, I actually thought it was a funny scene when the little portal way opened up from the necklace that Anchor wears and the head fell out. It was just a head dropping. That was pretty funny. Baguette ends up reviving the head. The way the head spoke to them, I just thought it was like, I was like, this head's going to be one of my favorite characters already. Also, when we see the weapon emerge and stuff, there was actually a really cool OST that played for the weapon and all that. So then Naoto and all the clocks and cyborgs get affected by the electromagnetism. They all go down for a while. Apparently Akihabara's gears have stopped, and that makes me think, shouldn't the place fall? Because if there was a mistake and the other place was going to fall because there was a mistake in the gears, then wouldn't the gears completely stopping cause it to fall? How would the world continue to function? Like, if all the gears in one place stop. And they even brought up that all of, everything is connected, so getting rid of this would have effects on all the other nearby gears and could even spread as far as all of Eastern Asia, but so if all the gears magically stopped, how was that not having a horrible effect on all of that? But either way, lots of plot holes. It's just, one of the things with the show is, there's so much that if you actually think about it, it makes absolutely no sense, and so much stuff that they've just outright not told us, and it's not like with other shows where I'm like, oh, they're not telling us because it's going to come in later and be some kind of surprise, it's going to be important. With this show, I feel like when there's things they aren't telling us, I'm like, they're not telling us because either A, they don't know themselves, or B, the more we know, the more we're going to notice how many holes are in this. But either way, the weapon, another thing that seems like a hole, the weapon seemed very, very much larger than before. It seemed like when they first saw it, it was not that big, maybe 2 or 3 times the size of a tank, maybe. I thought there was even a scene of Anchor riding on it at one point, but now we see it and it's like the size of buildings and the size of skyscrapers, and I'm like, okay, why is this thing why is this way bigger than it was before? Why has its size increased? But it completely demolishes the military, totally shreks them. I have no idea why it's way larger. That's still just, it bothered me watching this. I was like, this was not this big before. So the government fires the capital defense cannon, and nope, that gets demolished as well. Apparently the weapon is called the Yatsukahagi, which is a long-ass name. But either way, the Yatsukahagi. And then the old villain, the guy, is apparently the old guy that Naoto and them met. But again, that kind of makes me think plot hole-ish kind of stuff, because I'm like, so they met this guy down there pretty recently, and he was just some guy alone in a shack that you happen to wander across. But why would he be there when he has an entire army of rebels pretty much working for him that can go and have this weapon stuff going on? And the whole plan that they were possibly working with the military to try to, make them look better or something? Whatever happened to all of that? There is just a lot that does not make sense. And I am following much more complicated shows, and I think that a reason that a lot of this doesn't make sense is not that it's complex, but because there are just lots of inconsistencies. But yeah, also the old villain, apparently his motives and stuff is he thinks Y was crazy for making this world and that this world doesn't make sense and there are a bunch of contradictions and stuff. And I don't get why destroying the world and stuff is helping that. Like, his actions once again aren't really like completely falling in line. Like, people in real life do crazy stuff, so I'm not gonna say it's a terrible thing, but his actions and his thoughts aren't really falling in line with each other totally. So Naoto then wakes up. We see Karasawa, who is one of the guys that knew Baguette and everything. He's meeting with the Prime Minister, says everything's magnetized. Well, he doesn't say that. Well, he kind of does later on, but Baguette tells Naoto everything's magnetized. Also, then he mentions the weapon by name, the Yatsukahagi, and I'm thinking, okay, doesn't it seem sketchy that he just knows that name, and the government's like, yes, the Yatsukahagi, and I'm like, doesn't it seem odd that they know that name? How would they know the name of some weapon that just appeared? So yeah, again, some holes there. The military then is like, this, I think, the military calls for a purge, and I'm like, okay, they're trying to make the purge happen. This makes sense. This follows what they were saying before. But nobody else was in on it, so I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But why do none of them care that they know the name of it? Like, just some things that don't make sense. We find out that the demagnetization can be brought about via heat, and it seems that Anchor was able to do it herself. Ryuzu trying to do it, but she's not really cooling down as well because she's an older model, you know. Then what else did we have? At the very end, they say they're going to Conrad at Ueno, and that's it. I thought it was a pretty alright episode. I mean, I pointed out a whole lot of holes and inconsistencies there, but I was invested in watching it the whole time, even if it wasn't very good. And like I said, I thought some things weren't that great, but it was still fun to watch. So I think that's what matters. It was fun to watch. It wasn't outright terrible like some things I've seen. And I would even give it like 6 magnetized gears out of 10. Ooh, that was a rough one. But yeah, I'd give it a 6 out of 10, above average. I really didn't mind watching it at all, even though I kind of nitpicked it a bit. Not great, not bad, just an average episode, an average show, which is fine. Also, next episode, there was something about going shopping, and we still have this huge terrorist giant weapon thing that just stopped all the gears from moving, and now they're going shopping. So yeah, lots of things. I'm like, not sure how this follows, but the pacing and jumping around with this show has been there to where I'm like, okay, it is what it is. Also, there seems to be some really busty looking robotic girl, and I'm wondering, are they going to put Halter's personality into that different body or something? But either way, let's call this one a review. I guess that's really all my thoughts on it. Either way, if you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of this week's episode of Clockwork Planet and what you thought of it as well. Subscribe for more anime, manga, and a ton of other things. Just so many other things on the channel right now. It is a lot. Also, follow on Twitter if you want. I'll try to keep you updated, talk with you there about whatever. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.